Welcome to Focus Garage. Onder is here. We're inside the garage, and finally, we're gonna work on the Focus ST. It's been a long time. I worked on this car. It's been sitting for over the winter. Summer is coming, so I just want to make sure that the car is ready. My hands are already dirty. What we're going to do is we're going to take out the injectors, inspect the valves. Yeah, inspect the valves to make sure that they're all clean. It does have an aux fill, so they should all be clean. And then we're going to remove and replace the fuel pressure sensor that's on the high fuel pressure line. High fuel pressure line. And then that's what we're gonna do today. But tomorrow we're going to work on the other part of the Focus ST. So I want to show you guys the process of what the stuff looks like, not actually the process of doing it. There's a lot of video out there, and also my car is a little bit modified, so it's going to be different than that. But just going through, what we're going to do is we're going to remove the intake manifold, which uses bolts to hold it, and then remove the charge pipe that's going into it, remove some vacuum lines from that so we can remove entirely off the car. And then my second step, and you don't have to do it, is my auxiliary fuel, that I need to remove that as well. And then we're going to remove the fuel line going into the fuel rail, and then remove the sensor, pop the rail out, pop the injectors out, and then I'm gonna send my injectors out to get tested and cleaned. Since the car is sitting down, there's no point of buying brand new injectors if they're still good. I would rather get them clean and recycled. So let's move on to the engine bay and show you guys what the inside the valves look like. So after fighting over probably like an hour to get that injectors out of the engine, I was able to succeed. So they were very crusty, they were stuck in there, so it tells you there's a lot of buildup. And let's go take a look at this. So this is the one in the driver's side cylinder. Look at that. Like, we'll find out what the pattern is and how much they were clogged up. But even like, oh, this was so nasty. Like, this one was stuck in the cylinder and it didn't want to come out. Took me a while to get that off. And then all these were stuck in the injectors too, the rail. So yeah, this is what it looks like. 85,000 miles on these injectors, and I don't know, visually they don't look that good. I mean, man, I wonder if I would have kept these injectors, my engine would be blown up. Well, I guess we'll never know. I'm going to get these cleaned up, send them in. I'll put a link on who I'm sending it to. I looked around, there's a lot of companies, and I found this company to be decent. They're not sponsoring this video at all, so that's just my own opinion. And let's go take a look at the engine bay. This was the fuel rail. You can see that this is also, hold on a second, let me get my light. Also has some corrosion, you know. Let's look at the and then look inside. Inside doesn't look that bad. And this is where they sit. It's kind of hard. So I need to clean that area where the injector sits. Kind of see it. It's not the cleanest. And then you have these little injectors, wiring that you can just like unplug these plugs. But yeah. So what we're going to do is send injectors, get them cleaned out, replace the fuel pressure sensor on the line, high fuel pressure rail, and then we're going to put all that back together, and definitely replacing these bolts. They're junk. I can't believe, like, spent, I don't know, they didn't even like care, I guess, or they just, how can we save money, and they just put really bad hardware. So I gotta find out how long they are, and then order new ones to replace it and get ones that are good. I'm also going to try to clean this. There's like so much just dirt buildup in there, so it'll be a good idea to clean that. And there was some fuel when I undid the fuel line, it leaked. So yeah, let's send those injectors out, and I'll share you guys what the fuel pattern, how much it was clogged, and give you guys some idea what it would, you know, happen to your car. Just 85,000 miles. I did run ethanol on those injectors, so could be a little bit extra, but whoever has a tuned Focus, they usually have ethanol, some percentage ethanol they're running, and 93 octane has like 10%, 15% ethanol in it. So we're in the process of removing the injectors, and I just want to show you guys my intake valves and exhaust valves. They look pretty good. Let me focus on them. This car has about 85,000 miles on it, and auxiliary fuel has been going on into this engine for about 50, maybe 45,000 miles. So we can take a look at every single one of them if you guys want to. They all look pretty good. No carbon buildup, a little bit on the stem, but valve looks pretty clean. And this car never had a valve like ball nut cleaning or anything like that. So this is all, oops, what it looks like. 90,000 miles on it, or 85,000 miles on it. And the auxiliary fuel I'm using is the Speed Performance. So I do have a little bit of complaint about it. I'll show you guys the bolts that I removed, the stud and the bolt. This is unacceptable. They're rusty. Like, this is like the best looking one. Let's go take a look at this one. Like, just so much rust. I mean, the stud itself is not that bad, but this portion has been inside the engine, and that's outside, and that's just rusty. So if you guys are looking at any auxiliary fuel system or anything like that, just keep that in mind. Look at how much stuff in there that I had to clean out, you know? That's disgusting. But and also the other thing I want to show you guys is that, so if you have fuel pressure exceeded, I can't remember what the cell is, but I will find that and put it on the description. If you have that, I looked in a lot of forums, and I couldn't really find anything, but then I just logically, I'm like, if it's reading too high and my AP is showing normal within the spec, then it must be the sensor, and that's what I think it is. So we'll replace this. This is not much of an expensive part, and it's right there. So we'll replace that and see what else, if it throws any check engine light or anything like that. And then we'll do some cleanup on the wiring. It just looks disgusting there too. So next, I'll show you guys the injectors once I remove them and see how much carbon buildup there are on them. These injectors don't look that bad. No buildup on these, but this doesn't mean anything unless you send them in and get them cleaned up. But these have like 50,000 miles on them, so, and they're secondary. I don't think there's any problem with them. So I'm glad I did it. They did have a lot of miles on them, a lot of carbon buildup, and I was running ethanol, so it's not really nice to the injectors. It's running rich, so carbon buildup happens. Anyway, if you're at 60,000 miles, or you're getting closer to that, you should definitely get them cleaned up. They cost as much as getting one brand new injector to get them cleaned out. So it makes sense as long as there's no mechanical issue or anything like that on these. You should always get them clean instead of replacing it. Economically, it makes sense. So we're going to put these injectors back on, and I did replace the sensor as well, and I don't think it was the issue because I think that injector being so I got my injectors back. They're a lot cleaner. Also have brand new seals, Teflon O-ring, Teflon seal and O-ring, and they were bad. They had some kind of reduction, and this one was horrible thing. So before we move on to the brake pads, I wanted to show you guys the coilovers. These had about 50,000 miles, and I tried to increase the ride height, and they were stuck. These collars were stuck. So there's a solution here. It's a vinegar with, I added some baking soda to help with breaking down the whatever it was, the rust or grime or whatever, and it worked. The rears are free. You can see that it moves very easy. So I'm soaking the front ones too. Those were really bad, so we're gonna soak those up a little bit more. And like also this is like, I mean, vinegar is really good. So like if you look at this part, and this was like, I soaked this one in for maybe like 15 minutes, and then I'm going to soak this one in too. Look at the difference. So vinegar is pretty good. It's a lot of people use it, and I never tried it before, so this is my first time. I put a bag in here because I wanted to keep the level high in this right here because I didn't have enough vinegar to cover everything up. So you can see that I did put some baking soda in it, so it's working. I mean, look at this. This was also on the where the spring, the rear spring sits, and this was stuck too. So after this, I'm going to go and clean the threads and then put a anti-seize on it. So I should have done that in the beginning, but I never did it because I was lazy. Oh, another thing we're gonna do is that I did remove the brake caliper. We're going to install Frankenstein brakes in the back. So we're gonna have Focus RS rotors and just the regular Focus ST pads here, and we're replacing these ones. So I was gonna paint it, but I really don't care. I don't like the red color anyway. It just looks tacky on this car. It's just a single piston. It looks like it's riced up. So I mean, it is a hot hatch. So let's go take a look at it. This is the brake pad that came out from the inner side of the rotor towards the exhaust. It's 100% used. It's actually more than 100%. You can see that. Let me zoom. Let me focus on here. Come on, camera. Maybe it's too. There you go. You can see that the lip, it was like a lot more than that. So, and this is the outside one. So the outside one had a little bit more. So I could have. No, I couldn't have. It was making a lot of noise, and so I stopped driving it end of the summer, and now it's April. So we're gonna replace that rotor as well, and this requires a special. You can't just push the piston in. You just gotta put a brake piston pusher, and then you're just gonna screw it in. So that's a special type. So let's remove the front one and show you guys what the front pads look like. And again, 85,000 miles. And I mean, this rotor is destroyed. I mean, it's destroyed because of the pads are done. So I hope that's not stuck. Injector, because this was pretty much clogged. So, and I was getting some weird AFR readings on ethanol. When I was 100% ethanol, it was just like, it was kind of leaning out. So, but when you switch to 93, it wasn't leaning out. I thought it was bad fuel, but I think I'm going back to this being clogged, causing me to lean out. Luckily, I react to it before it was too late for this engine. And even though you can find these engines pretty cheap now, because they were in literally everything, it's just a lot of work to do it. This is a lot easy. So if you have 60,000 miles or getting closer to it, think about it. Sending them out to the same place I use there in Texas, or finding a local one to get them cleaned out. Make sure that they're specialized in direct injection cleaning, because regular injectors are different than these. They don't clean up. They need a lot more high pressure than the regular injectors. So yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to put these injectors back in, button this up, and then we're going to move on to the brakes. I already removed some of it, you guys can tell. Yep, and then we're going to put some coilovers. So after removing the front caliper, looking at the pads, I mean, there's still like maybe like 10% left there. Maybe like another 5% here. But compared to the rears, these still have some life on it. We're still not at the backing plate. The rear, it must be because of the torque vectoring that is using the rear brakes a lot more than the front brakes, and they're not meant for it, or they're just under design for that specific reason. So that's the only thing I can think of why the rears wear out a lot faster than the front. So, and looking at the rotor, this rotor, I mean, there are some flashing points. I think that's just because of the the pads were just sitting here for a long time. They weren't moved. But there's a little bit of lip here, you know. So I would say the rotor was there. Time for it to replace as well. So I mean, first brake job on an 85,000 mile car. It's pretty decent. Could have done it probably 5,000 miles ago, like last year, beginning of the summer. I think that's when I should have done it. But yeah, it's my fault that rear is worn out. That's not good, you know. That's not safe. So we need to replace that. Well, finish up the installation of the injectors, the coilovers, and the brakes as well. We also washed these wheels. Old brakes, there was so much dust and build up. I was able to get rid of them pretty good. But looking at these, really good brakes. So this car is gonna stop fantastically. I didn't have any problem with them. The installation was pretty good. Removal was same for both. And going back to the rear calipers, the rear brake going back to the brake pads, the rear ones were pretty bad on both sides. They were worn down significantly, especially the driver's side. Nope, not the driver's side, the passenger side, going to the passenger side. They were bad. And look at this wheel. I can't get this off. This is pretty caked in. I'm gonna use more solution. It was just pure laziness, nothing else. But yeah, this is the stance of the car currently. It's a little bit, it was like one finger, maybe less than that on the back, and then going over here, it's like, yeah, actually no finger here, and also half finger, I would say, here. So I tried to keep the same rake from the factory, so a little bit less than that. There's like ½ inch difference between the front and rear. to keep the balance of the car, and it handles pretty good. I didn't have any problem before, so yeah. And the Audis here, they're just waiting to be serviced. It has a lot of stuff waiting in there. But anyway, this video is about the Focus. It's all done. We put the injectors in, sensors in, and run the car for a while. I actually switched to ethanol as well. AFRs are good. No weird spikes or anything like that. And also, I don't have the engine code, so I'm not sure if it was the sensor or the fact that the fourth injector was clogged up. So I would never know. I guess I shouldn't have ever changed that sensor and let it run like that. But it doesn't matter. If you have that, and if you have that many miles, like if you have the same problem as I did, have that many miles, and you haven't replaced the or cleaned injectors, you should do that and get the sensor as well. Just be safe. It's not that much. It costs less than replacing an engine, trust me. So here's the update for the Focus. I do have the Focus RS brakes in the back. The rotor, the pads are just a regular Focus ST with the Mazda 5 brake caliper bracket, so it pushes it up. So handles pretty good, brakes pretty good, behaves pretty good. My other problem is the AC belt. I don't know how many of you guys had this problem, but my bottom tray failed and caught up into the AC belt and just destroyed it. It was a weird accident type of thing, and I have been looking for AC belt, and every time I order AC belt, it's the wrong one. They send me the Focus, regular Focus one. Even at AutoZone and Advanced Auto and all those places, I thought it would be better. So after I put the AC belt on, there's nothing that this car needs. Absolutely nothing. It's ready to... I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video here. I know it's been a long video and it was not a DIY type of thing. Just wanted to take you guys with me, my trouble of owning a Focus ownership. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to comment below, or you guys can reach us at Facebook and Instagram. We're pretty good at responding back. And if you like our videos and if you want to support us, please subscribe and like and share our videos. That helps us. That tells us that people are out there watching it, so we continue pushing out more content. So thanks for watching. Kudos to all.